It started with a Mass in St. Peter's Basilica, Pope Francis asking those present to pray that the Holy Spirit would guide the participants in the upcoming 16th General Ordinary Assembly of the Synod of Bishops, known also as the Synod on Synodality.
This is the primary task of the Synod, to refocus our gaze on God, to be a church that looks mercifully at humanity.
From even when it was announced, the Synod on Synodality has caused some confusion as to what it's about. Father Antonio Mile is a priest who celebrates Mass in Vatican City.
Every single human being, he wants them to be part of the family, no matter who they are, no matter what culture, no matter what. The question remains the logistics of doing that. These are the challenges, let's call them this way, of the Synod.
So this will be a month-long meeting here at the Vatican where cardinals, bishops, priests, nuns and some lay people will be able to have their say on the style, life and mission of the Church, the challenges there are and how they could be best tackled. Meetings of the Synod of Bishops have been around since 1967 and normally have a concrete theme or subject to discuss. For example, the last one was in 2019 when members of the Church gathered to talk about how best to serve those in the Amazon region. The time before that, it was the Synod on Youth, but this time it's a Synod on Synodality. Ludwig Ringeifel is a theologian and journalist and explains this Synod is bringing it back to basics in a way.
What is the nature of the Conference of Bishops? What is the nature of evangelization? What is the nature of the Church? Now we are going back to the fundamental questions that we saw in the 1960s and 70s. So this is going back to the roots, as you wish.
Here's how it works. Different issues that affect the Church will be brought up for discussion in the Synod this month and the second one in October of next year. Possible solutions by the participants will also be offered, and the best ones will be voted to be put into a document that will be presented to Pope Francis for him to consider implementing. And with so many issues up for discussion, this poses an obvious question. What are the things in the Church that can be changed, and what are the things that cannot? The worry is for many Catholics with a gathering like this, if not careful, can lead to changes in the Church's stance on certain issues that could directly or indirectly go against dogma, meaning teaching of the Church revealed by God, and other key doctrines.
The Church has always believed in the deposit of faith that was given her by Jesus Christ to the magisterium under the guidance of the Holy Spirit for the past 2,000 years. The question is, how are we going to apply? How are we going to do a pastoral mission of the Church to everyone without jeopardizing the deposit of faith, because it is untouched. Nobody is allowed in any way, shape or form to change the deposit of faith.
This is why, even before the Synod started, news broke of questions, technically called dubia, or doubts in Latin, sent by 5 prominent cardinals to Pope Francis, seeking clarity on a number of issues, one of them being the hot-button topic of allowing blessings for same-sex couples.
Really, everything they asked is in the backdrop of the Synod. The cardinals, they've made really clear that they asked these specific questions because, as they put it, some highly placed prelates in the Catholic Church have been saying things that they said were contrary to the Church's long-standing doctrine and discipline, which has caused a lot of confusion.
The Pope responded by letter, and in a move that surprised the most, he seemed to open the door to blessing same-sex couples.
He first affirmed, right, that marriage is only between a man and a woman. The Church can't do anything liturgically that would cause confusion, right, about that fact. But he did signal, citing pastoral prudence, that if one or more people come to the Church and ask for a blessing, the Church has to consider whether it can do that without causing that confusion.
There was a strong reaction to this story, especially online, with some Catholics seeing this as a positive move by Pope Francis in terms of openness to the LGBT community, and others seeing it as a confusing message that encourages something that strongly conflicts with church teachings.
It's wrong to say that everybody will be pleased with the outcome. It's wrong to assume that nothing is going to change. For sure, the way of discussing issues will change.
Cardinal Mario Grech is the Secretary General of the Synod, and he told EWTN what he hopes the outcome of the Synod will be.
The Synod is a moment where, in the past, only bishops were engaged, but now the Pope Francis introduced a new dimension of this experience that involves all the people of God.
The Synod process.
Despite the differences that are sure to continue over the course of the Synod, there is optimism for most of the people taking part, like Cardinal Stephen Chow Sai Yang, Bishop of Hong Kong.
I hope that voices, different voices can be heard. So I'm happy, I'm excited that the lay people, men and women, religious, okay, are represented, the full voting members. So that will make the synods a lot more richer.
This year also sees more women than ever taking part. A total of 54 will be voting.
In all the countries, the topic of the presence of women in the church is a topic. So if the elephant is in the room, we have to talk about it. But the importance that women are here and that they are voting members, I think it's a very, very big sign.
There's a lot on the table to discuss, and there's a lot at stake. It's still too early to say whether this synod will have a significant impact on the life and the future of the church, but one thing is for certain: this is Pope Francis's synod. He's in charge, and he said that this is not a parliament, but rather a call for unity. In Rome, Colm Flynn, EWTN News in Depth.